All right, welcome back to Just Enough Garage. Today is the day we're going to start taking this apart and getting it better. All right, well, welcome back. So what we got, let's tell story time right off the bat. Story time with Darian. It cost me nearly the purchase price in paperwork. And I spent $150 in fuel. I went 400 and some miles in the last video. Our emotions were up and down with the way this process went. I knew this was going to be a problem. It was a problem. It's all done. I got the paperwork finished this morning, so now I'm comfortable doing the job. What is the job? Come along, John. Let's see what the job is. This is the job. We're going to start disassembly today, and we're going to cut that frame, and we're going to attach it to there so that that service box and that cab go together with the small block Chevy and the automatic. If you've been following, I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get to this, but that's the way it is. And as I said earlier, I'm a little channel doing little things, but you're following me in a realistic position in my backyard doing this stuff with my children. So let's get started on this. Let's get set up. The first thing we're going to do is pull these fenders, then we'll pull this bed, get rid of the old gas tank. We'll take some serious measurements and see what we can do about making that work or making that work there. We're not final on anything, but we're ready to go, so let's get started. So before I get off the subject of the wheelies real quick on the paperwork, for you guys who have been following and who have told me what states you're from, I appreciate that. It helps me to mentally get myself together on how I tell a story, because essentially all YouTube videos or any sort of media is a story being told. This is the story of a pink wheelies Jeep. How did I acquire it? Where did it come from? If you followed the series so far, you'll know that. If not, a friend of mine had this given to him. He worked on it in the 90s. He built some of this work. His friend who owned it passed away. He's had it for about 2 years. The family called him and it sat under a pine tree and said, "You want it, come get it." That's the title Lost Story. The man who owned it had the title work and it was misplaced through his house being cleaned out, things like that. Okay, he gets it. He ends up having to move. I end up buying it because I thought, well, I could use parts for my other rat rod. Well, as it turns out, this one was in good shape. So I've done the money, the time, the effort to get a title for it in my state. It's very difficult. It's a 3-year waiting period. I've started that 3 years. I can still sell it. I can use it. I just can't actually get the title because in their computer system, they want enough time to verify. Well, when I went to the state patrol, as you guys saw in the last video, the guy did all the paperwork, and about 10 or 12 years ago, Washington decided that it would just throw away all of the information it had previous on old vehicles if they weren't currently registered. This fell into that. So now we've started a whole new process. It's as if it was there's no paperwork history on it. It's as if it started as a 2024, but they just listed it all as 1954 and away we went. So it should be very simple from here on out for the next owner. If I keep it, I don't know. I always get my paperwork right because I never know who's going to have it after me. So that being said, be patient with yourself, be patient with your project. Get your paperwork in order. Don't start something and then hope it'll work out later. Make sure it's ready to go. Now I'm confident in that. It's 100%, no issues. So now I'm going to go ahead and rip and tear, so to speak. Now, going back to this wheelie stuff. No, this was all fabricated out of metal. These guys built all this. They did a wonderful job. It served its purpose. It looks great. However, it doesn't serve my need. And I'm going to be removing said bed to do what I want to do with the vehicle. I want to make a cute little shop truck out of it, so that's what I'm going to do. You think that's turning on the other side?
Well, let's see.
Yeah, let's see. I bet we need vice grips under there. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, is it a nut? I go put a vice grip on?
It's the end of a bolt.
It's a bolt? All right, let me get the vicey grips.
All right. What you got there?
Well, I've got this very experienced set of original vice grips that they've been around forever. I don't know the history on them, but I've had these forever. Can I even reach my hand in there?
Yeah, if you put your hand in there.
Oh my goodness. These big fat tires are in the way. Who uses a 3/8 bolt to put on a fender? I'll tell you, men who work in the industry, because Willys probably wouldn't have done that. These are not Willys fenders, by the way. They made these. They did a fabulous job, like I say, for making it all. You can show the end, John. See the end right here? You can see they put that on a brake and broke all the steel and bent it, made it the way they wanted. Willys had a round part on the top.
Yeah. They also came up at an angle, not a square.
Yeah, let's in fact go in here and look at this one real quick, since we're delaying ourselves. So, this is an original Willys. See how that is completely manufactured different. Look at the sides. Look at the fender. They're similar. They're swooped. They're similar. I've actually narrowed these ones by about that much to fit on, because when the bed went out to drop over, because I left the frame the original height and I just lowered the bed sides, but all this was, it was all rusted out when I got it. So you can see there's a gap here in the tailgate. All I did was I just welded that on and put the tail lights and stuff on it, and that's what I did. Hopefully this one will turn out better. Hopefully this one will turn out better. But I think what I'm going to do, John. Oh, that was on setting 2. That's why it was so slow. I think I'm just going to get out the cutting torch and just blast. Cut the heads off of all this. Let's move on. So stand by. Oh, before we go stand by, do you think they had a problem with the wiring ones getting down the road or something when you put in?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Just maybe.
And like I say, the last look at the great looking gas tank.
Ooh, full of water.
So last time Mariana was making fun of these because they were antiques and they're old. And so she said, get some new ones. So I got some new ones. I wonder what that's all about. Must be moisture?
No, those are protective. You peel those off.
Well, I'm not
side or
using
the
them.
other.
I'll put them right here. Don't throw away my old pair, just in case.
Because most lenses have protective little plastics you gotta peel off.
Is that right?
Yeah, usually.
I'm so glad you're here. Turn off the fuel on that, John. It's leaking.
Yeah, if I remember which way it turns.
Turn off the other one. It's leaking. There you go. You don't mess with that one. Let's blast these, see what happens. Whoa. These are brand new.
They fit on your face?
I don't have no gloves. Go find gloves.
Alright. Let me pause it.
I bet it's free now.
Is it? The fact that it made the pop and then it...
Let's see. Oh yeah.
I have a pair of ice grips. Huh, open fender.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for sprint car stuff now. Ugh, look at that bolt I could have saved.
You could have saved all the rest of them that way.
Why is my yard always full of nuts and bolts?
I don't know.
Does it look badder like that? It looks badder.
It looks like a bat now.
No, it looks badder. It's tough. Gotta cut down all the fenders. It's rolling. It's what do you call those?
F1 cars?
Yeah, there's that, but then it's also like a Mad Max car. Let me cut this fender off real quick, and then we'll get back with you in a second. Yeah, look at these. Already practically touching right here.
What?
Yeah,
No.
so when we make sure, when we do our conversion to that bed, John, we make sure we have enough rolling inside so we don't have any.
So it can do some suspension without taking the tire out.
So I think, you know what? I see Mrs. Just Enough Garage over there eyeballing me. I told her I'd take her to Chinese lunch today. So why don't we
take a quick break?
Yeah. Let me see, those are stainless. They'll cut, but they're a real bugger. And then where's the other
Cut
one?
around it. I didn't see any in the front. I think it might be something different, like they welded it.
Yeah.
Or it's underneath that battery cover.
Yeah, there might be something under there. Okay, so
Right.
we gotta get rid of the headlights and the tail lights and stuff. We could just undo those and set them down. All right, we'll get back with you with the next step.
You turning it the right way?
No, that's just to loosen it up. It's practice.
Ah.
These are such cute tail lights. I might want to save them for something someday.
No, I should have just cutting torched them.
Well, you know what? Speaking of savings, what if I just put all the hardware back on it right now?
You could do that. Save yourself a couple cents later down the road.
Well, there's the sense, but then there's the frustration of having to stop what I'm doing, go down to the store, get it, purchase it, stand in line, drive all the way back. All of a sudden, 45 minutes is wasted for a washer.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's why they say time is money and all
Yeah, oh
that.
yeah. When I become a big, famous YouTube guy and I could have people throwing hordes of stuff at me, you know, with those bins and everything that they always tell me, oh yeah, buy all that. Who's got $5,000 to buy all that system? That'd be cool, but then I'd have to keep my shop clean. It'd be a mess.
And
Nobody's prepared for that.
And to do that, you'd need a bigger shop.
Oh, well, of course. First thing you do is you go out and spend money.
Mm-hmm.
And bigger and better. That's the American way. So I have to apologize to everybody watching that I feel this is taking too long. Keep in mind, I'm a Gemini. I'm never happy with anything.
Wow, blaming astrology now.
Gotta blame somebody. Anyways, you gotta be prepared to spend money and time on getting the paperwork organized, getting your project organized, getting your time organized. I purchased 2 different vehicles, dealt with 2 different problems to get to this point. Now, you could go out and spend more money and get a truck that was finished and then try to work on making it your own. Where me, I feel like I start out at an affordable rate for me so that I can feel good about just kind of like doing it my way. And I don't know if that's the right way of thinking about this projects or not, but that's what for me, that's the way I do it within my budget, because I don't put myself in debt for these things. These are kind of just stuff I do on my own as funds allow. I don't think that fits, John.
I don't think so either.
You remember that 9/16 we had with the nut stuck in it?
Yeah, I couldn't get it out. I spent 5 minutes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just pound it in further. No, won't go in, won't come out. So when that happens, we'll get a screwdriver. Stand by.
All
Here's
right.
a screwdriver.
Oh, wow. Already getting the screwdriver.
And then you can take it like that.
Wow, you got it in there.
Tech tip of the day. Use the cutting torch on everything and you don't have these problems. All right. Stand by, get a hammer. Look at me, I'm a real YouTuber now. Using a claw hammer. Come on out there, you. That is a real bugger, isn't it?
Yeah.
What in the heck? Why is that? It should just... Is it not hooking it good enough?
Yeah. That's what I was...
So, sometimes when a project takes 5 years, you say, why did it take you 5 years to do that?
Because there was a nut stuck in the socket that we needed.
Oh, here's something better. Look at this whaler. Bang!
Somewhere on the floor over there.
Good, it can stay there for the next 25 years. Let's go. We got work to do. We're trying to beat the rain again. John, here's a question. Have we had more cars leave this yard successfully complete onto a new life, or have more cars died in this little section since we've been here?
I can only think of 2 cars that we've killed in this.
I think of about 5 that we've cut up for parts and pieces. There's been some Dodge trucks, including that one.
Okay, that would
There's
be a
been
third
a bunch
that
of
I
different
forgot.
Subarus. There's been
I
some
only
Ford
remember
trucks.
the green, that one green Subaru that was wrecked.
And that other Brat that I got all those parts off.
Yeah, but that was one of my 2. I remembered the Brat and the red truck.
And there was a couple of Jeeps that I parted out.
Don't remember those.
This might be a kill yard. All right, we found some bolts. We've cut some bolts. We think it's loose. John's gonna lift it up with a jack. We'll throw some dunnage under there. It turns out when you make a bed out of heavy gauge steel, it's heavy. So we're gonna bust our humps, and you're gonna watch via portable camera. Hopefully we don't pinch our fingers. All right, I bet that thing won't be a ball breaker now.
Oh, there's still wires connected to it.
Wires?
Yeah, look under there. There's a bunch of wires under there.
We'll get rid of the zip tie, John. Come on, man.
Zip tie?
Come on, man.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
Yeah.
Cutters.
I'll set you guys up so you can watch us throw our backs out. Alright, you guys gotta see what kind of gem we're working with here. So they made a homemade notch, which is making the frame weak. I know it's strong now, but this is the homemade bed that they made out of steel. Say it's just all fabricated, homemade flat metal they put together. This was the bracket I was messing with earlier to cut off. These are this is part of the original frame back here for the wheelies. I recognize this. So now, there's a pretty good chance we're gonna have to remove that cab, John, just so we can get to where we need to weld. But meanwhile, oh, check out those shocks. Well, you get one shock, and it's not attached to anything. Is that attached to anything? Good intentions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a battery cover though.
Yeah. This fiberglass looking tank looks like it came out of a boat. These guys worked in a shipyard, so some of this stuff's probably shipyard stuff. You can see that was fiberglassed over. It's plastic. Like I say, these were people that put it together with what they had. Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna reset, clean up some of the mess, and continue forward with life. Yeah, that's what our problems were. This was bolted right here. It's a good system, but not good for taking apart. Yeah, the rust did not do it any favors. Well, I don't know how much of this you're going to want to watch us struggle. We've got it lifted up in the front. Yeah, I put some redneck timber under there because we got to get underneath, and there's a bolt here, each side. That's 4, plus this one on the front right there. And that's what holds these fenders on. And cab. I don't know if we're going to be able to lift this whole thing up as one unit, but we're going to try to lift that whole thing up. We're going to end up jacking on both sides, cribbing it. Eventually we'll get it high enough that I can roll the frame out, because our measurements are 36 inches wide on this frame, and they're pretty straight, right down. This one, you see it, it's like 43, 44, and then it pinches in here. That's the way these are. So we're gonna end up cutting it way up here somewhere. So I have to get the cab out of the way, which isn't so bad because then I can do the exhaust work and some other stuff. But yeah, we're getting frustrated already. We're gonna keep going for a little while the rain's holding off. So we'll probably show you back when we get it jacked up in the air.
Is now.
So we had 4 cab bolts we were able to pull out. Those came right out because they're not that old, maybe 30 years. I got the master brake cylinder disassembled. We got 1 bolt up front giving us trouble. Of course, I spilled some gasoline when I took the tank down, but I set it back up. And then I think we're going to take a rain delay because it's starting to rain more. And John tried Sawzall on this, but it was unsuccessful. So probably next time you see us, oh, look at that, the sun's coming out. We're about ready to quit, John. Good thing we're not quitters here. All right, let me disassemble the steering column, pull the radiator back, and then I'm gonna try to lift that all as one big piece. If not, well then I guess I've destroyed it and we'll have to go buy new parts. All right, good morning. It turns out it's not raining today. It's a beautiful day. Let me get out of the sun for you. I put the different wheels on this morning because then I have some decent tires so it won't go flat on me. I'm just now getting rid of this rivet. I heat those up, cut the top off. I'm using my air driver. So I've gone underneath and cut these, but now I see, if you see inside there, John, that rivet head, the tool won't fit under here, so I'm going to come back and cut that and then drive it through that way. And anyways, this piece has to come out. I got to cut that little bracket off over there off the frame. This is where we marked it yesterday where the cab was. The cab was like right about there. And so then I'm going to, see, that's a good reference because it's the same on both sides. I will cut that, leaving these mounts for the cab. Get rid of this. And then the other piece should slide into here. And you see how this is notched like that? I should be able to notch the outside of that like that, slide it into about up to here somewhere. We'll get rid of this fuel line. That brake line is loose as soon as I get the bracket out, and it's going to go back to the axle, so I'm just going to kind of leave it there. Anyways, that should interlock. You can see here I'm hoping to make this so it'll interlock by cutting a groove in that, and then I have all this weld. Now this is going to be over a ways like this, so I have options. I have to leave the mount for the cab, but I have some options of getting some other steel I have over there and putting a deal in here, putting some other deal, maybe it's flat plating it. I'm not exactly sure. It's kind of build as you go. But I get rid of all the stuff I don't need, and this is one of them. That'll be in the way. It originally went underneath the cab, and you can see it hasn't rested on it in years. It just was there, and there was a spot where it went up in. So we'll cut that. That piece will go away. Eventually we'll save the axle and do an axle swap with that part of the truck so that the wheels and everything fit. But anyways, you can see what they did is they just took the Camaro part, slid it into the frame, used that 2x2 to bridge it. It's actually not a bad idea. I think that's I think that's the reason a lot of people use these clips, because you have your steering box, your power steering, everything. It just comes together so nicely, and you got your GM cross member. So driveline length, we'll obviously have to custom have one made for it. So let's let me get set up and I'll show you what I'm doing here. So now I've got the rivets out. I don't know that it was easy to film. I ended up cutting part of the top brace on this because I couldn't get the tool in there to, but anyways, it should just come right out. you know it, that thing's in my way.
Yeah?
So I guess I could just cut it in half because I don't really need that brace. It's just scrap metal.
Or you just push it
Finish
back.
cutting the frame out. Or you think backwards?
Yeah, I think if you rotated it, it'd come out. There you go. I hit that side that way.
There we go. One premium 1954 Willys riveted original frame. It goes over there. Now, I do have to cut this bracket out because that other frame's going to ride inside there. I didn't chew it up too bad, a little bit of cut there, but other side's all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. And then we'll get this set up with a square and cut this square with a Sawzall. And rock and roll, let's go. All right, a little more cut work. All right, so John's plugging along on the last bolt to pull the drive shaft. I got my jack underneath there to hold that. I got these buckets to catch that oil from the transmission. I did a little bit of sweeping so we can get rid of this. Hopefully this will just back over to here, John. We could put it right in that spot maybe. And then we'll get it lined over here and figure out what we're doing with this mess, because this is a mess still. How far are we going to cut back? I'm not sure. You can see that the factory seamed these frames when they built them. So that's what they did. So I'm using the front half, but we'll probably have to shorten it up when we get close. Knowing from where I'm going to cut it, I only need to be, you know, a couple inches away. I'll probably have to do a notch right here. Oh, you can see, probably have to do a notch right here so that it sets down on. And we'll see what happens after that. You ready to pull the drive shaft, Johnny?
In here.
Yep. Put a wrench in there and push it forward, John. And then I'll get the bucket ready.
And my fingers.
Did it go?
Yeah, it went.
Okay.
And then I punched the pumpkin.
Okay. Get it to drop down.
Yeah.
There you go. Is it down? Let it go. Oh, no oil in there anyways.
Oh, good.
Okay, bring me those caps. So John managed to do the one thing you never want to do. Look inside. Are all the needles stood up?
They're all standing up, just there's a couple.
Yeah, then it's not right unless you got them perfect.
There you go.
Now put it on there as gentle as pie. Get that garbage out of there. All right. Hold my camera. I'll go get the tape.
Wow, camera.
Now you take this here black tape. Now we don't need this drive line, but I don't know that's a fact.
We don't need it yet.
Because I think I'm going to be about 3 inches short. Now I won't lose the pieces. So comparing it to this other one, I was hoping to use this one. This is off of a 94 Chevy Suburban. It had a 4L60. I think the yokes were the same between the Turbo 350. And this is aluminum and it's longer. I've already checked. It's going to be like 4 inches longer. So there's a potential, we'll check here in a second. There's a potential that I could take this into a driveline shop and they just shorten it, put this piece right back in, rebalance it, and I just save myself a bunch of money. I'll only have shop time. Let's see if it fits this in, because then I'll know if I have something here I can use. No. Wait. So now you see the difference when I stretch this out 3 more inches, I'm still going to be too long. But now I have a drive line I can take into the guy. He can just cut it off if they do aluminum and put it together. If they don't, well, then I have to take that one in. And what they'll end up doing is it'll cost more money, but they'll replace this tube with a longer tube. The third option is we go to a junkyard and find one that's closer, but the likelihood is pretty remote. I was hoping that if this was close enough, I could just adjust my frame when I went to weld it. But, c'est la vie. All right, let's set up to cut this sucker. All right. Okay, so I've got it marked out. Obviously, that's my cutout X. It's going to leave that slot. And it's going to leave a little ridge here on the bottom because that's going to come on the bottom of this. This is 5.5. This is a 6-inch piece. That's my angle I need to line up with this angle. If you remember, this wheelie's frame was running like this. This, if I do it right, should run into there. This notch should go inside, and it should line up with these lines that I've got here, and then I have all this surface to weld here. And then back here we'll take a plate over to the other part of this frame somewhere, and you know, hopefully that'll do it. So I'm gonna get my grinder and cut off wheel and go to town with that, and we'll just see what happens. Obviously, I'll let you know I got my pressure washer set up here. Before I weld any of that, I'm gonna pressure wash all the dirt and crap off of it. Make a big mess, but I'm not gonna get it wet until I finish grinding because I have to kind of sit down there on that dirt. Getting too old to lean over that far. Anyways, hopefully it'll come together pretty nice. Ideally, I haven't done any leveling yet, nothing. But this frame should be, you can see it's tipped just a little bit like that. So when that comes down, it should be level with this. Obviously, I have the jack up a little bit there, and we'll bring it down. I have a piece of steel that will attach over the top, clamp that together, so they should run true. Then we'll take a measurement from that wheel to this wheel on both sides and make sure we're parallel. And if that looks good, that's the best I can do in the backyard. And we'll tack it together, double check everything, and if we're happy, we'll weld it. Again, it's a weld on top of a weld, so it is what it is. I wouldn't recommend it, but on the other hand, you know, be confident in your work, do your best, and you know, if it totally doesn't work out, well, I guess then I'll just scrap it all. At the end of the day, I can always put it in the dumpster. So we'll keep moving forward and see what happens. Okay, just finished pressure washing. Big mess out still. Scrap metal pile. I got my stuff prepped here for my notch. Clean that, actually washed the transmission a little, got some of the grub off. Yeah, it is what it is. So now we're gonna see if it'll fit. All my helpers went in the house. I'll see if I can get one of them to come back out, help me align this, and then we'll level it up, throw some weld on it, and then try to break the other windshield out, putting that back on, because we all know that needs to go back on here. And if I did my math right, I should have about 1.5 inches between here, and that should fit underneath. Yeah, that's what my math says. Let's see if it worked out. I'll get back with you before I weld. So you want to know what the irony is, Johnny? Johnny's back filming with me. You know what the irony is, Johnny?
What?
I cleaned all the grease off of here so I could weld and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it's all over here, which was already kind of finished. And now the wheel that I put on here this morning is brand new. It's all
covered in grease.
So let's see if I did any good. So let's lower this down to where it matches. That's pretty close, huh?
Sure.
I know the biggest problem is going to be steering the jack in there. Let me push on the wheel. How come this ground is all muddy? I've swept a bunch of times, but yet it's still muddy. You're missing it. You're missing it. Okay, so this side has to come up just a little bit. See that? I got to bring this side up just a little bit. Whoop. I already engaged myself. Well, you're caught on there, buddy. Oh, good way to lose a finger. All right.
Yeah, pinch points.
All right. Because we're on the ground, we're going to have to put it in here. Like I say, it's the worst driveway in the world for trying to fabricate off of. Now, in theory, all it's got to do is, okay, so the jack is free.
Yep.
In theory, all I got to do is just roll it back 1.5 inches or whatever that thing needs. Oh man, whoever did this, they're like the best guy in the world. Look at that, my angle's right, it stopped where I wanted it to. That I'm not concerned about. Yeah, that gives me some weld. This is level. This came out here to where the cab will be. Let's see if I have my 1.5 inches. Man, I should really do this for a living. I'm like the best of the best.
Oh, totally.
How does it look this way? It's all, but we'll be able to level the top of this.
Yeah, well, you might have to push that side in a little bit because this side's close.
Yeah, there's some measuring to do for sure. So what do we got here? About to the back of that, we got about 3 inches. So that's 2.5, 3 inches. So we still got to measure from wheel to wheel, John.
Well, yeah.
We got to center it because just because it's in there and looks good don't mean it's right.
Won't drive down the road straight.
We don't know that yet.
Well, not currently. I mean, half of it's not even connected.
What do we got here? See, so right there I'm at 2, that's at 3, which tells me it has to come out just a little. So why don't we do this? Why don't you put down that camera and you can hold the end of my taper measure. We'll measure our wheelbase, verify that we're square with the world. Because if I just trust that, you're right, I could be all over the map. So anyways, that looks good. It gives me plenty of weld. So let's look underneath. Where's my knee pad? Oh, here it is. I got this out of the 74 Ford truck that we haven't touched for months because it's been over a year. My friend won't give me a title because he said he can't. Anyways, come down here and let's look. All right, so you see right here, this tells me that this has to come down. The front will have to come up. So we'll put the jack under there and bring it up like that. So that's level there, and then this should be almost level back here. The tops of these should be level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it's a little gap over there. We got some work to do. So let's get the tape measures going.
All right.
Okay, I'm fixing to weld this. You can see what I've done here is I got this piece of steel I had laying over there. I just tacked it right there, and it's laying on the frame. I've ground that all down so it's laying on the frame and across this way. So then I've got these 2 tacks right there, and what that did is it allowed this to level itself out. I have no jacks under it. Now, so the tires, let's talk about that. Those tires back there are different air pressures, whatever. Okay, these tires up here may be different air pressures. My whole concrete goes like this. But by tacking this level here, which is what I intended to do, and that there, in theory, I'm going to have the frame square level across from side to side, from this side to this side. Now, lengthwise, I've taken a measurement. I was marked the tires, and we were doing that. We weren't confident enough, so I went from this grease zerk right in the center of the ball joint before I put this piece of tubing on. And I went in there. I don't know if you could see the spring shack way back in there, the center bolt. And I got John to hold that from center bolt to center there, both sides. Now, when we have both sides set, it's the same distance. Then I double checked it with the wheelbase in case anybody's interested. It's 123.5 inches. So what is that, like 11 feet something? Now, that left me, here's the back of the frame, and that left that distance. So it's about, well, this isn't square with the world. Don't expect that. I just threw it up there and tacked it. Anyways, I should have enough. Mrs. Just Enough Garage has been out. She wanted to do this paint. It is like 35, 40 degrees out here. I have some body work to do. So I don't know that we're going to put the cab on this week. There's a good chance that I'll finish welding. I'll now get a I can't even get a measurement for my drive line because I want to put this axle back in. Why? Well, because it's positive traction and the wheels match this bolt pattern that I have that matches the front. So I need to put this axle back in. So I will put the welding together on the frame, finish that, and then we'll probably throw this axle in. And as you see, I'll go over here in the yard and you can see I got a little bit of a California rake going right now. Let me get back a ways. Up into the yard. Still can't see it. Well, you can kind of see it with the back. You see how it's leaning downhill like this? Well, there's nothing in this toolbox. It's just unsprung weight. Once I put the fuel tank in, once the tools go in there, it's got big springs on it designed for a load. So I think that'll settle out. But what we've ended up doing is making the frame level with the frame. So in theory, it should be the same as if. So that's what we got going on. I don't know, maybe I'll set up the camera, a little bit of welding, but it's nothing to it. We're gonna weld this seam right here. Underneath, let me go around on my knee pad because I'm old. And you can see how this turned out. Hopefully you can see. The camera is so hard to, I'm gonna have to take it out of the mount. So there's a little bit of a gap. Now the camera doesn't show it, but that, let me compare that with my finger. It's nothing. I'll be able to weld that easy as pie. And so then that'll come along the bottom. We'll have the top. So let's talk about this dipper stick.
It's seen better days.
Hubert took a hit yesterday. Yesterday I was in a foul mood.
It's because it's heavy.
Let me explain to you what happened here. As you can see right here, this was hooked. Somehow when I was pulling on it, it did one of these. Well, actually, it was the other way around because I've re-rigged it. So I think we're going to take the shackle out when we go to lift it, Mary, and put that round part in the...
Yeah, I was thinking that. Just both of them up in there.
I've never had it do that before.
Did you learn a lesson?
Yeah, I need a new piece of windshield. You know, I'm frustrated with that because that's not my style. I mean, you know, I don't even like doing burnouts and stuff with it, but... Mary's
That's a lie. You love burnouts.
Anyways, I'm super excited that frame cut and all my mathing has worked out pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and weld it now.
I think you said it in a video a couple weeks ago, but math has lied or tape measures have lied before.
Well, I use the same tape measure for everything. So in theory, it'll be the same. When you get into trouble is when you have two different tape measures and two different guys.
They're a little bit off,
and the ends are a little bit bent.
And nobody can read the markings.
Yeah, I did all
how.
of it myself, so I'm 100%.
If it's wrong, it's your fault.
I'm 100% my fault.
Oh, a welding cap.
Oh, I got nothing.
I think it's just the nibs that are catching.
So we're going to put some weld on this. And then
That's his nicer pair.
no, they're all junk. There's still some life, and for some reason the left hand wears out more than the right.
That's because it's your base hand that you have near the weld, so
I'll
it
do this before it gets
gets
dark.
heated and burned.
Because I'm old.
Oh, this.
They'll probably stay together. I should hire a guy to come in and weld this. If I was a big YouTuber, I could just drop this off at my frame shop and
Have them do the drive line and the frame.
yeah, they'd call me up when it's done. It would be all powder coated and nice, and I could go get all. I could just do a big order at Jegs. Yeah, Jegs. Look, I got all this stuff and donate it. Come on. Instead, I'm trying to beat the rain. I'm out here messing around with.
There's blue up there, but that means nothing. Blue just means lighter
You
rain.
gotta find a screwdriver to
Oh yeah.
clean my thing there.
Oh hey, look.
Oh, perfect.
It's like it's the welding one.
Instead, I'm using a new frame from 1989 to weld to Willie's 1954. We decided to weld to a 1960s.
Yeah, I was like, isn't there? What did they say?
You know what I had going for me though? This is all American steel.
Holder.
That's what I got going for me. Oh, look at that. Stitch, stitch.
Yeehaw.
Oh, let me clean it.
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh, there. Looks like it's been there.
Our instant rusting.
Yeah,
Bubbling
well,
up through.
I pressure washed everything. Okay, it's getting dark. I think I'm finished with the welding. Welded it there. I put a little brace there. Same with both sides. I put a little brace there. Put a little brace there. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I welded. Let's see if I can get the out of the base. We're so close to the ground here. And then I welded underneath there to that frame overhead. I'm not the best welder anymore, but I'm doing my best to do this right. So the next thing, I think I'm gonna paint everything black to cover it. There's a good chance that this needs to be, I left it in here, but there's a good chance that might need to be modified for the drive line. It's a little bit low, but with some action, so I might have to do a deal there, which is more fabrication. See how the old one had a big cutout. I took this piece out this morning and threw it over here on the ground. I might be able to utilize some of that by cutting it like this, cutting it like that, putting it back in. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. The other option is I'll just go ahead and unbolt that and take it clean out. It doesn't need to be there. It was just one more crossbar to help support the frame, but I also have this one now, and they're only 18, 16 inches apart, so that one will probably have to go away unless I wanted to take a hoop and weld in there, but it's not very heavy material. Anyways, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We're going to continue on with this project. I'll do some painting and some assembly work. Mufflers. I have some mufflers. I'm going to do all that muffler work at least back to here somewhere. Have a tilt out probably right in front of the back wheel. I could do that. Like I say, it's a paint. I messed it with the brakes, so I'm not in an eager rush to put the cab back on, but I want to do it for the weather turns. It is nippy today, and I don't know if you can see over that house. Let me zoom in. That is snow in the foothills, and the foothills are 400 or 500 feet above us. So it is coming. I wanted to get this put back together. I also need to switch the axle, so that'll be the next thing probably. Anyways, the shop truck, she's coming along. Thanks for watching.